Hello everybody, this is Renaissance Craft here, and today I'm going to be going over something that I see a lot of people don't do, or they try to get certain methods or certain styles and never practice developing their own style or their own skills, other than using very technical type of ways. Now, if you want to draw realism, draw comic book characters, or do different types of characters, sometimes this, can actually be very helpful because it can create a little bit of originality. Now, I'm not saying that this is the best way to do anything. I'm just saying this is if you're bored or need to practice a different way, this will really help. So what it is, all you're doing is you're drawing different shapes in different areas of a piece of paper and then creating something, a character, a monster, landscape, a machine, whatever it might be, from those shapes. One way to do it is use 3 of the same shapes or 2 of the same shapes or one of the, I would use more than 1 or 4 or 5 of the same shapes, but none of them are touching, and you have to connect them all or some of them together. Then the next thing you could do is once again taking all of the same shapes and cross or overlap a couple of them and do 2. I would do more than 2 if you're going to overlap, but take 3 or more and then have some off, and you can have more than 2 overlapping, but have 1 off and then create something from that. The other thing to do is to take multiple shapes and overlap a few of them and have some of them off and create something out of that. But this way you're getting different variances and it makes you think more than just the circles. And then the other thing to do is have them all connected, but still using different shapes, circles, ovals, triangles, squares, whatever, and then creating something off of that. A lot of times this way is very good for creatures. So I'm going to give you a quick example. Now when I actually do this, this is going to, except I'm using a pencil, I'm using a 2B pencil, and I'm going to be doing it a lot darker than I normally would, but this is typically how I will do it. So I'm going to be starting with, actually I'm going to do it this way, just a couple circles here. And you see how liney I have made this. I've made them that liney on purpose. That it kind of, and this is going to be very light. So that way I can pick any of these lines I want, so it doesn't have to be a straight oval. So then I can take, this line, say, okay, this is the line I want, and I'm going to branch it out to over here and connect that, and then beat that up here. But then I'm going to take these 2 lines. All right, so now I haven't even thought about what I was going to do. I got my initial, this is how, the lines I want and the lines I want to connect. Now I'm going to create something. So let's just create a creature. Why not, right? So have a little profile view. We'll actually use this line in here and have a very big eye. So once again, I would be doing this very light and then picking the lines I want, but just for the fact of, making it noticeable on the paper, I'm going to be doing it this way. Make it a weird bird type thing, I guess. I'm always correcting or changing where my line is. It doesn't have to be, exact. You know, I can say, oh, I like that. And, you know, especially if I'm typically doing it light, I can do, you know, make changes at will. But I started just with 3 circles. And from there, it has really, you know, started to shape or be made into something else. So you know, it just depends on what you're doing. You can really create something very simple from just a few shapes. So now, you know, I have something that I've created, you know, and now I might actually, what I'm doing here, you know, I might actually be doing exactly this sloppy just to get, if I'm doing a gesture or trying to get, you know, kind of how I want a character, but I'm going to be doing it a lot lighter, so then I can go back over it and pick out the lines I want, pick out the things I want, and say to myself, you know, I like this, I don't like this, and then make the actual character off of that, and then take, you know, that kind of scribble or line and gesture drawing and make something better out of it. But this way, I'm not just saying, all right, I want, you know, this comic book character. This is typically how the comic book character looks or the poses they use, so I'm just going to use that pose all the time. This is giving you a variable, especially if you do it right, where you're not trying to, you know, make a something. You know, you're just going with the shapes, and you're not trying to go with, you know, anything in particular. You're just going with what you see from the shapes, and you have, you know, the best thing about what you can do here is you don't have any pre-described subject matter that you're trying to do or anything in particular that you're trying to draw. This is just to help you notice things in shapes and sizes and how things will go. So it's to get you drawing things that you see within things, from shapes to, you know, different things. And then from here, so now you have, you know, all these scribbles and all these things. But what you want to do now is you have this line drawing, and then you might have added that line drawing a little bit darker with all the lines you wanted out. So you go, oh, okay, I want this, I want this, I want that. I want that line here, that line here, that line here. But now you can start adding like clothes or, you know, armor or whatever fits your fancy for whatever you're doing. You know, you can add machine parts better, but you can add things to it. And obviously this is way too dark, so you can't see any of this. But this way you can actually add things to the drawing you've already done, and you can really make it unique from there. So, you know, then you can actually erase and say, okay, I got that, and adding a little bit of strange, you know, 1800s clothing to it. You know, why not, right? Some big nipples. All right, so you get the very basic point of, you know, just taking these type of shapes, variances depending on how you're doing it. And I created a creature, whatever it might be, I guess a big colonial chicken. But you can do multiple things with this. You can create landscapes, you can create animals, you can create faces, machines, anything that fits your fancy. But this is a way to open your mind to not just doing, you know, realism or portraits or, you know, trying to draw what you see in the photograph. Most people today, that's the mistake they make. There's nothing wrong with trying to copy a photograph or what a photograph looks like. It's a skill within itself, and it's a very good skill. But being able to take multiple photographs and manipulate them, or be able to just make something up without any reference at all, without thinking about it, can also be very, very useful and create a style of your own.